What is changing can be expected to change under the Trump administration for immigration applications? Well, we've already gotten reports that I-130 from clients that I-130 petitions that were usually taking on average about 11 months to process can be taking up to 18 to 24 months. There can be N400 naturalization applications that typically were being scheduled for interviews within 6 months, as soon as 2 or 3 months. Just a few months ago, I've had a couple scheduled that fastly. We're expecting them to possibly take a year and a half again. Also, unlawful presence waivers that after 5-6 years of waiting, some people were starting to see 2.5 years, 3 years processing of these unlawful presence waivers, the 601A. We expect them to go back to 5-6 years. These are all things that are expected. We're expecting stricter vetting of everybody. We're gonna have longer interviews. We're gonna have RFEs issued, which are requests for evidence after applications are initially filed. We're going to see all of this going back again during the first Trump administration. This is what was happening during the interviews. People were going to get vetted a lot more thoroughly. There's going to be processing delays, as I laid out some of them. Consular processing is probably going to take longer, which is for people who are trying to immigrate from abroad. Complete adjustment of status applications that were being processed within as fast as I have had 3 months, and on average about 5 to 6 months. I just had one approved last week for a DACA recipient who was lucky enough to do advanced parole, leave the country, come back on humanitarian reasons, and then we filed a green card application for him, and he within 5 months was able to get his green card. Just was approved a month ago. But we expect that this is not going to be what's going to happen moving forward. People, as I've said in prior videos, people are all going to get called in for interviews. This individual was lucky enough because his application was substantially adjudicated prior to this announcement and to this policy change, and any applications that have been substantially adjudicated up to this point may continue not to receive an interview. But moving forward, expect for all applications, basically, especially for marriage-based ones. So if you're married to a United States citizen, you're here, maybe you came with a visitor visa and you overstayed, or maybe you haven't even overstayed, but you filed and now you're waiting for the application to be processed, you're going to be called in for an interview. So expect that to be a change that's going to happen. So what can you do to combat these changes? Well, one, you want to definitely, maybe some people were trying to figure this out on their own. That's always a mistake. Make sure you hire an experienced, knowledgeable, and compassionate attorney to assist you with your application, to go with you to those interviews, to respond to any requests for evidence. These are all things that you should be actively doing. This is not something that you should be taking lightly. They are going to give you problems wherever they possibly can. So you want to make sure that you're vetting yourself, because they are going to be strictly vetting you and your application and your loved ones' application. So what can you do for the processing times? Well, there's really not much you can do. There's not expediting like there is for some business-related applications, for family-based applications or naturalization applications. There's no expediting these applications. There is some very rare exceptions for if you have like an ill family member, the U.S. citizen is ill and you need to get your spouse over. There are some small exceptions, but to basically expect that there's no way to expedite these applications. So what can you do is basically get your application filed as soon as possible. Make sure that you don't make errors when you're filing it. And I mean, obviously, hopefully you hire an attorney and they'll assist you with that. And hopefully that attorney will be a good attorney who's experienced and knows how to not make those kind of errors, so that there won't be further delays in what is going to be already a very long process, and that we are expecting even more delays. And what already takes several months, it may take a couple of years now. So that is what you need to do. Get yourself in the waiting list. It's like a grocery store where you get a number. You want to get that number. That's all you can control at this time, and put yourself in the line so that you can get your application at least started to process. Now, a few quick things I wanted to go over for filing fee errors and other types of filing errors. that can cause petitions or applications to be even rejected, if not at least delayed, by way of they'll issue requests for evidence later, which can delay the processing your application anywhere from 2-3 months to 5-6 months, or even longer in some unlucky cases. So it's really important that you file your application correctly, that you make the payments correctly. Some things on the payments, well, you can pay the filing fee, which everything basically almost has a filing fee unless it has a fee waiver and you qualify for that fee waiver, and then you have to do that, which is even more complicated. I'm not going to go over that, but how can you pay for your filing fee? Is check, credit card, money order. So the check can be a personal check or a cashier's check. I typically recommend people do it with a check. And make sure you have sufficient funds in there. Make sure you're writing it out. You can also do it by credit card, but I recommend you don't do it by credit card because a lot of people have experienced rejections. If there's multiple filing fees for multiple applications, so for example, you're filing a green card application and an I-130 petition and a work permit, you want to separate the fees. So $1,440 as of right now for the green card application, $485, $675 if it's a paper filing. $625 if it's online filing, but and $260 if it's going along, for example, in this complete adjustment application, if it's going along with the $485. Make sure that you file separate checks for each one of those filing fees. This is the point that I'm trying to make. And make sure your signatures are legible. Make sure that you write the dollars amount legibly. Make sure everything is basically perfect. The date is perfect. They have rejected. I've had a few rejections where people just don't, maybe they write the dollar amount in a sloppy way. So make sure you're writing it very neatly, and those are the little things that you can do, and obviously ensure that there's sufficient funds if you're doing a personal check. So hopefully you found those tips helpful. If you need to reach me, please reach out by calling 213-567-4494 or go to rodarmandelaw.com. Stay tuned for any more updates, and I hope you guys are doing okay, and take care, and make sure you get these applications filed as soon as possible if you're eligible, and reach out to an experienced attorney and seek consultation to get help with these applications.